And now joining us to discuss the current mood in Israel as we approach Yom HaZikaron and Yom HaAtzmaut is Israel's Special Envoy for Innovation, Fleur Hassan-Nahoum. Fleur, thank you for being with us today. Israel is still in a state of war with multiple fronts active. We've lost hundreds of lives in this year so far battling the threats. What is the mood going into this Memorial Day?
You know, the mood in Memorial Day is always so bittersweet. We have such a high price that we pay for living as sovereigns in our own homeland. This particular year, and of course the year before, has been particularly painful. So many beautiful young men and women, their lives have been lost because they have made the ultimate sacrifice. They are protecting their homeland, they're protecting their people, and they and their families have paid the ultimate price. And it's kind of almost like the story of the Jewish people in 2 days, in 48 hours, the tragedy of the loss, and then the celebration of our liberation to have self-determination in our homeland. It's such an emotional roller coaster the next 2 days.
Now, we do still have 59 hostages in Gaza, seemingly no end in sight. Certainly the families are feeling that way. Is this impacting Israeli society's approach to the Independence Day celebrations that are coming?
Absolutely. How can we completely celebrate full-heartedly? How can we dance when we know that we still have 24 living hostages in captivity and so many bodies of our dead over there? They are going through their own personal Holocaust, those 24 living hostages. And so for the last 2 years, it's been very bittersweet. There's a campaign, as you know, Emily, of the families and the friends of the hostages saying there is no independence without getting our kids out of those dungeons. And that really is the mood. We're going to be dancing, but we're going to be dancing with tears in our eyes.
Now, in general, it's highly unusual that a nation has a Memorial Day for its fallen soldiers, victims of terror, followed by a massive Independence Day celebration the very next day. Why does Israel do this? You sort of alluded to this a little bit, but what lesson or lessons can be learned from this?
You know, it's very interesting because I think the Jewish people were one of the only people that can put tragedy and we can put celebration almost next to each other. When we have weddings, we break the glass and we remember the falling of the Second Temple. We remember the falling of Jerusalem. And so it's very much built in to our psyche, built into our culture, built in to our religion and values, that alongside deep tragedy, we must always be people who look forward. We look forward to developing, to thriving, to productivity, to growing. It is very much part of the Jewish psyche. And like I said, these 48 hours are an incredibly difficult emotional roller coaster. But this year, as last year, it's even more bittersweet when we know that 24 of our people are still living a Holocaust right now.
Now, finally, there are many heroes who fell fighting just in the past year as well as victims of terror. Is there a particular story that has impacted you?
Yes, well, I'm not very objective, but there are two wonderful young men who have fallen in the last year, who are from my neighborhood here in Jerusalem. One you all know very well, a Goldberg Polin, who was taken from the Nova Festival. He was a young man who I know from when he's a boy, a little boy. I was at his bar mitzvah. And he was at the Nova Festival. He was a paramedic in the army. He was looking forward to his year of traveling after serving his country, and he was brutally taken. His arm was blown off, and then went through a grueling experience as a hostage until he was executed. And of course, everybody knows his incredible parents, Rachel and John, who did such an amazing job of bringing the story of Hirsch and all the other hostages to the forefront of international media. But there's also another wonderful young man called Yuval Shoham from my neighborhood as well, who died in an army accident, as many soldiers, more than we would want, do. But he's a young man whose parents are incredibly active in my neighborhood. He was a wonderful leader of the B'nai Akiva groups in my neighborhood. He was a leader of my children. And when he was in Gaza, he would go around Gaza, shouting Hirsch's name to see if somehow he could rescue his friend. And so those two wonderful young men that we've lost in the last year is an incredible tragedy, not just for my neighborhood and for the city of Jerusalem, but also for the entire country and the Jewish people.
Absolutely. Well, may their memories be a blessing along with the other fallen soldiers and victims of terror from this past year. And of course, since the reestablishment of the State of Israel in 1948. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but thank you for shedding some light on this difficult day for us. Thank you, Fleur.
Thank you, Emily.